I've been underestimating her, and I know her very well, and we are good friends. But you know, that first episode, I came in with saying like, I'm surprised that you're in the top, and that was never meant to be like malicious. I was just making TV, you know. But I think that ended up being like a bit of a rivalry between the two of us.
Hi babes, it's me, Tia Kofi, and welcome to Attitude Tea Time in association with Taimi, where each week I'll be bringing you the freshly brewed tea from Drag Race UK Series 3 with the latest eliminee. And this week, I'm being joined by the scarily talented Charity Kase. Woo. Charity, you look gorgeous.
So do you. I look like sisters. Look at us.
I know. This was my attempt at trying to be like, spooky.
Really? No, you're joking.
No, I'm really not joking. This is like, I'm so spooky.
Halloween, woo! Halloween drag.
Oh my God. Literally, this is every Clapham twink being like, I'm gonna be a witch for Halloween.
Yeah, it's very that.
I'm doing Clapham twink on Halloween, and do you know what? At least 3 of those twinks will probably be on season 4. So we've got that.
Yeah, that is true. If this season's anything to go by.
Shade, instant shade. Let's get into it. You've been eliminated. How are you? How do you feel?
I feel a sense of relief, if I'm honest, because you know, there's so much pressure in the competition and like you're being judged from so many different angles. So it's nice to just like have that done now. And also it's been like so long coming and I've been kind of dreading this episode. So I'm just glad that it's all over and done with. A thing of the past.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that people don't realize is like, obviously we know when our elimination's coming and it's the biggest fear, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was actually really worried about episode 2 as well, Dragaton, when I was like terrible at dancing. but that was kind of easy to watch, whereas this one was a tough watch for me. But I've had so much support and love, and I'm still really, really proud of what I did.
I mean, you should be. You serve some incredible looks like this right now that maybe the judges didn't understand, but I think the fans definitely have got behind you on your looks. Do you think the judges just sort of didn't get your drag?
I think that my drag is like very out of the box. And I knew that going in, and my drag isn't for everybody. Like, I've got eyes, like I know what I look like. And I know that not everyone is into this, you know what I mean? Some people are way too into it, but not everyone is into this. So I wasn't expecting to just be like loved by everybody the whole time. You know, I'm very self-aware in that respect, but I did put a lot of work into it. So it was really disheartening to not receive like the validation that I guess I was craving.
So you're in the bottom 2 against Scarlett.
Yes.
Which is kind of like a do-over of last episode where no one went home. Let's rewind to the previous episode. Do you feel like that was a double Shantae, or do you think one of you might have won the lip sync? The question is leading.
I don't think I should have been in the bottom, if I'm honest. But like we said, I don't think my drag is to the judges' taste. And I think, you know, I think that was quite obvious when I'm like crawling across the floor talking about like being a sinner and looking like the dog's dinner, and RuPaul's face is like, you know, like I got the vibe that like that my drag just wasn't what he was into, and that's okay. Like, he's the main judge, like that's fine.
But who would you have put in the bottom in your place? Because I'm going to say I absolutely loved your verse from your team. Oh my God, it's not on my face. I thought it was great.
Thank you so much. That means the world. Yeah, I was really happy with my verse actually, and my performance as well. So it was really defeating for me to be like put in the bottom. I mean, I love her to pieces, but I think Crystal should have been in the bottom instead of me out of her group. Like, I think her lyrics were like a bit more obvious and a bit more, you know, predictable from like what we've seen before from Drag Race lyrics. And I mean, like, I think that she did a couple of splits, but I'm not sure that should be what's carrying. I don't know. You know, I'm not gonna like Crystal. I love Crystal. I really love Crystal. I love everyone in the competition. But yeah, maybe I don't think that I deserve to be in the bottom in that challenge. But I was, and I pulled it out and I lip synced, and it was a double save. And I don't know if it should have been. So then the next day, even though it was because it was a double save as well, if it had been like I'd saved by myself, maybe I'd have had a bit more of like a comeback feeling, but I didn't really get that, you know. So yeah, I came into the next episode feeling really, really low, and then I got picked last for the group, and it was all just like I knew that I was like crumbling a little bit at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, if it helps, nobody won, so obviously.
That is true. Nobody won. Yeah, that was a shock. That was a gag.
I mean, Ru loves cracking out a gag on Drag Race UK, doesn't she? Let's talk about that. I think that's the first time in Drag Race history that nobody's won a challenge. What was the reaction like when that happened?
I think we were all just like shocked and almost like embarrassed, because it's like, you know, we've all just stood there and watched these adverts, and we were like laughing at each other's adverts. Like, I thought they were quite funny. Like, we thought they were quite funny, you know, because it's such a small amount of time you've got to like write the adverts and come up with it. And like, you know, you've all got to get into drag and you want to get nails on and you've got like half an hour to do it all. It's just like, what is going on? So I was quite proud of like what we actually managed to pull out of the bag, and they all actually made sense on the screen. So then to be told that it was like rubbish was like, oh my God, as if. And I was like, none of us are safe. And as soon as it was like, okay, nobody's won, I was like, okay, I'm lip syncing. I just knew it, because I had taken control, and that wasn't like me being a control freak, which I am a little bit, I do get that. But, you know, what you see again is such a small amount of time. We spent a good like half an hour sat there trying to come up with ideas, and we weren't really getting anywhere. I mean, half an hour in total, but we were a good like 3-4 minutes sat there trying to get through ideas and we weren't going anywhere. And, you know, there comes a point where it's like, we've got to do something. So I was like, okay, what about if we do this? What about if we do that? What about if we do this? You know, I just had a vision, and I thought like, I'd rather bring my vision to life than all of us bring nothing to life. So yeah, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have taken over the challenge, and then I wouldn't have been so like on the chopping block.
I mean, I did feel like that episode, someone's got to take control of the situation. Yeah. I got the impression that you sort of got thrown under the bus by a few people throughout the episode. Not going to name names, but Elephant Day did say that you had a negative attitude and sort of came for you in that Untucked moment.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that was a fair assessment on her part?
I mean, I think that, I don't think that she should have said me, but I think that I take her point on board. You know, I was, like I said, I wasn't bringing this like big bundle of positive energy into the room, because that wasn't how I was feeling. You know, actually, like I was feeling really rubbish and really low, and like I was doing crap, and people were disappointed in me. That's how I felt, and I was disappointed in myself. So yeah, it was hard for me to just like pretend to not be sad. You know, I'm not just gonna like fake it. I mean, I will when the cameras are on, but but like behind the scenes, you know what I mean? I don't just want to be like keeping it all in. So, you know, I was a bit low at times, and she's okay to acknowledge that. That's fine. But I don't think that's a reason for kicking me out of the competition.
Well, I think it's interesting that like it sort of got placed on you, because watching the episode, I sort of was observing, and it was Scarlett who really was sort of like being really negative and down on herself, and actually she literally walked out during Untucked. Yeah. I mean, do you think that was just the pressure of the competition getting to Scarlett? I think
if I was in Scarlett's shoes, I would have acted the same. I think the reality is like she'd been from week one, I've been underestimating her, and I know her very well, and we are good friends. But you know, that first episode I came in with saying like, I'm surprised that you're in the top, and that was never meant to be like malicious. I was just making TV, you know. But I think that ended up being like a bit of a rivalry between the two of us, and we kind of smoothed it over until, you know, I didn't go with her on that mini challenge, which was like obviously a poor decision on my behalf. but I was just in the moment. I honestly, like, I can't even really remember that happening, if I'm honest. Like, I remember like looking at Kitty and like going to go with Kitty, but everything's such a blur and you're so rushed and, you know, busy and stressed and everyone's just trying to do well. And when me and Scarlett are both just lip synced, I'm like, I want to be with Kitty because I know she's going to be funny with me. And that's how it felt. That was like just how my mind went straight away. And I was like, I'm going with Kitty. You know, it wasn't like a malicious thing like, oh no, I don't want to work with you, Scarlett. Like if I'd have taken a second and thought about it, I would have been like, oh, actually, yeah, let's go together. But I just didn't take that second. And I really regret that. Like watching that was really horrible. Like I felt really uncomfortable watching me do that. And that really got to Scarlett, and that played on her mind, and she felt like rejected, and she'd just been in the bottom, and she just like messed up the girl group challenge. So, you know, she was feeling really vulnerable, and I just rejected her. And I see that, and that pushed her over the edge a little bit. And then when a number of people on stage are like, you've given up, and she's like, I'm not fucking giving up. You know what I mean? I kind of get that.
Yeah.
So I understand where she was coming from. She felt like completely on her own, and so she acted accordingly. You know, her feelings are valid, and I respect that.
I think it's really interesting because, like, from an audience perspective, you sort of going with Kitty kind of makes a lot of sense because it feels like you two have had a real bond, and you had that absolutely amazing conversation where you spoke to Kitty about your HIV status.
Yeah.
And spoke on that, which is such an important thing, especially to provide that information to people. So props to you for sort of that on such a massive platform.
The trauma of getting diagnosed positive really comes from like the stigma of HIV, and it's really sad that that's still such a thing.
When I was 18 and I was diagnosed, I didn't even really know what HIV was. And the stigma that I have felt is you have got a disease and it is dirty and you should be ashamed.
Oh, don't apologise.
But like, it's not even to do with HIV.
No,
it's more to do with like
Feeling lonely,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, bitch, you're not lonely. You've got sisters for life now.
How does it feel to sort of like open up about that?
I mean, I've always been very open about my status for the past few years, especially like, I try to use my platform to like educate in general. I mean, especially around things that I know about, and that is my experience. So HIV is one of those. And so I've been very open about it in the past and discussed it on multiple platforms and stuff. But obviously this is a massive deal. Obviously it's like the BBC. So it feels amazing. I feel really accomplished, and I feel really proud that, like, you know, I feel like what I've done has actually made genuine change in the world. I feel like that episode made so many conversations happen with families, so much education happen from people that didn't know. I feel like I am that person now to all of those people who needed that personal connection to really understand and to really care enough to understand. I feel like I am that person now, and that's exactly what I wanted to be.
Which is absolutely incredible, and it's so important that so many people don't even know about you equals you and things like that. So for you to be able to put that out there is literally educating our own community and beyond that, because a lot of people watch the show. So you're doing good work. What's the response been like from people since you had that conversation?
The response has been absolutely incredible. I mean, I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages of just like love and support, and you know, people telling me their stories and coming to me for advice, or, you know, it's just so heartwarming to feel like my trauma in some way and my experiences can be of like good and can be helpful to somebody, you know, after it like caused such problems for me. It's really nice to find like turn something around and like make a change.
I'm obsessed with you, literally. You're an incredible.
Thank you, baby.
I'm making my ringtone you saying drag is political, because I think whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not,
it is. You have no choice in that. You have no choice in that. Drag is political as an act. It is. But I think it's our responsibility as the drag queens that are men. I think it's our responsibility as men, challenging the stereotypes, the meaning of what it is to be a man. I think it's our responsibility to do that for women as well. And I think that it's important that we don't hold drag queens all the time up to this standard of this idealized perfect version of what a woman is supposed to be, with shaved legs, with, you know, tiny waist, with big boobs and with big eyelashes. I think that that's really important.
Change it up, mix it up.
Yeah.
Right, I've got to say something. I've got to say something. Is Mel B cursed? Because I went home dressed as Scary Spice. You and Scarlett were in the bottom. Is there a Mel B curse on Drag Race?
I think there's probably a Mel B curse, but I think my poor decision was being a leopard.
This is the thing, and I know River tweeted about it, but I'm going to say it as well. The challenge is always inspired by, because I got red for my Alan Turing, because everyone was like, you don't look like Alan Turing, and I was like, Mama, no one said cosplay. Nobody said cosplay. Inspired by. So
I mean, cosplay was definitely said on my season, but not in the brief. It was said towards me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I take that. I love cosplay. Like, wow. I'm happy to be a cosplay queen. Most of my looks are taking characters and stuff. But no, you are right. Like, the briefs aren't exact to the runways, so you know there are discrepancies with sometimes like the exact runway title to what we get given. You know, like I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it really, but
someone will jump in if you're not allowed.
Inspired by, you know, do a look inspired by your favorite Spice Girl, or like something like this, and you know, then it turns out to be 90,000 Spice Girls. So if I'd clocked that it was 90,000 Spice Girls, I wouldn't have been a leopard.
No, don't worry, it's the same with our gay icon runway. I've always said that everyone else did it wrong and I was the only one who did it right. It said inspired by it didn't say dress as Boy George, Veronica.
I'm like, what?
Exactly.
I think out of the box anyway, you have to tell me specifics.
Dress as Mel B, otherwise bottom 2.
Literally, please tell me.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you some quick fire questions. Let's do it.
Cool.
What are you gonna do for Halloween? What are you dressing as?
A pumpkin.
A whole pumpkin?
Yeah, a giant pumpkin. I'm on a Halloween tour right now doing the show.
Oh, with Cherry and Joe?
Yeah.
Right. We love to see it. Have you ever had a supernatural encounter?
No, I don't believe in ghosts.
Really?
No, I have to have I have to be grounded in reality, and I have to know what's true so I can do all of this, do you know? Like, okay. I have to keep my head grounded in like science and reality.
Who are you gonna do for Snatch Game?
The devil.
Actually?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd love to see it. Charity, you've been absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for gracing our screens, entertaining us, and giving us a little bit something different on Drag Race.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for watching Attitude Tea Time, served to you in association with Taimi. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and make sure you join me, Tia Kofi, again next week for some scalding hot tea.